Tuesday class, and today's topic is on your greatest enemy. Actually, in spiritual life, many people make beginnings, and after they make a beginning, I would say majority of them fall away because they make a start, but after they've made a start, after a month or 2 months or 3 months of enthusiastic effort, suddenly there is slackening in the effort and the dissipation of the spiritual practices, and eventually they go back to whatever they were doing right in the beginning. I have not seen it once or twice or thrice, I have seen it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Then there are those people who come to spiritual life and they seem to be very steady and very fired up. And they remain in spiritual life very active, very enthusiastic for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and then they fall away. Then there are those who come to spiritual life, and after coming to spiritual life, after 10, 15 years, after taking sannyas, after being given the appellation of guru, suddenly they vanish from the scene of active spiritual life. So when we see this happening to people around us, we must try to understand what is really happening, because if we don't understand what is happening to people around us, it can happen to us also. In fact, spiritual life is like a battlefield, and there are people who are being shot all around us, and unless we know where the bullets are coming from, it's very likely that we will also fall victim to the same bullets. In fact, we often ask people that what do you think is your greatest obstacle in spiritual life? Or we ask people, what is your greatest enemy in spiritual life? And what answer do they give? The commonest answer they give is, yes, Maya. See, Maya, illusion is the greatest obstacle in spiritual life. But where is this illusion situated? From where does it arise? How does it get hold of you? And how can we combat it? In fact, when the Americans fought the war in Vietnam, the world's richest nation with the best soldiers, the best equipped, after fighting a long battle with probably the world's poorest nation, eventually had to leave the battlefield. So people were always wondering that how come the Americans, who were the richest nation, best soldiers, best weapons, how did they lose battle with the Vietnamese who were so poor and ill-equipped? So I remember reading an interview with an American soldier, and they asked him, what do you think, as the man on the field, what do you think was the reason why you all had to leave the battlefield? And you know what answer he gave? He said the answer was that in actual fact we never knew who the enemy was. He says, you would go, the whole troop would come, we would march around, we would patrol the countryside, and we would never see the enemy anywhere. We would play with the children, we'd give them sweets. Then before we knew what was happening, suddenly we would all be shot down. Suddenly an old lady would be coming along, would leave a basket on a bicycle nearby us, and that basket would contain a bomb. Or a child would come and put a hand grenade in the midst of us and run away. So we never really knew who the enemy was. So if you don't know who the enemy is, then how can you fight a war? You have to lose. So also in spiritual life, unless we are aware who our enemy is, unless we are very clear what we are up against, we must lose the battle in spiritual life. Therefore, it's very important to know who the enemy is. And the enemy is none other than the mind. The enemy is none other than the mind. In fact, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very interesting story. And this story in the Srimad Bhagavatam is a story which is related by an Avadut to the ancestor of the Yadu dynasty. So the ancestor of the Yadu dynasty is being related a story by this Brahmin Avadut, and he tells him the story of a Brahmin from Avanti. He says this Brahmin was very intelligent, he was very learned, and in addition to all this, he was also very rich. And since he had all the wonderful qualities as well as wealth, He had large family, many relatives living with him, many friends, many business associates, and he was leading a happy life. But one day what happened? He lost all his money. He lost all his money, he lost all his livelihood. Completely, absolutely. When he lost all his money, what happened? First of all his friends left him. Every single one of his friends left him. Actually, this is one of the tests. How do you know who your real friend is? Your friend is one who sticks to you through thick and thin. Your friend is one who sticks to you and knows what is best for you, and even if things are not going well for you, he remains with you. In fact, the other day somebody told me, he said that when I've started becoming God conscious, when I've started becoming Krishna conscious, now my friends have started abandoning me. They say, "Arey Sala, you're not eating meat, how can we call you to our house? You don't serve alcohol in your house, how can we come there? There's nothing to entertain us." So I said, then you know who your real friends are. Because the real friends will prepare food that you eat. The real friends will come to visit you even if you don't serve alcohol. These are your real friends. But the best way to find out who your friends are is when you have lost everything. And this poor Brahmin of Avanti, he discovered that when he lost all his wealth, he lost all his friends also. All of them were fair weather friends. So when he lost all his friends, gradually, even his relatives began to abandon him. First the extended family, because he was living in a large joint family which he was supporting. And then gradually everybody, even his children who were grown up, left. And finally his wife also left to go and live with the children. And this poor Brahmin was left all alone. He had no friends, no family, no wealth. And being all alone, he thought about the situation that he was in. And he thought that maybe God has been kind to me. He has taken everything away from me so that I can depend on Him. So let me, now that I have lost everything, let me take wholeheartedly to spiritual life. And this Brahmin took the order of sannyas. So he became a sannyasi. So you would have thought that now that he has made a great step in spiritual life, he has entered into spiritual life, and having entered into spiritual life wholeheartedly, now there should be no problems for him. But in actual fact, his problems had only just begun. Because although he had taken sannyas, nobody showed any respect for him. When he would walk through the streets, people would say, this fellow, when he had a lot of money, he was a very proud man. Now that he's lost everything, he is taken to spiritual life. Now that he's in difficulty, he is taken to spiritual life. So nobody had any respect for him. When he would walk through the streets, children used to pelt him with stones. People used to talk rudely and abusively to him. When he used to sit down and eat food by the bank of the river, children used to come and spit on the top of his head, or they would try to pass urine when he had spread the food on the ground. When he was sleeping, people would steal his bag of beads, they would steal his sannyas danda. When he would take a Maun Rath, they would come and they would beat him with sticks. So that being beaten with sticks, he had no choice but to open his mouth and say something, even if it was in pain. So this was the miseries that this poor Brahmin of Avanti went through. This was the misery that he went through. That not only he lost his family, his wealth, his friends, but even after taking through spiritual life, the miseries did not leave him. In fact, people persecuted him more and more and more. So at this point, Krishna is actually relating this story to Uddhava. So Krishna tells Uddhava in the Uddhav Gita that this Brahmin was able to tolerate, he was able to bear all the sufferings and all the miseries simply by singing what is known as the song of the Avanti Brahmana. Simply by singing the song of the Avanti Brahmana, he was able to bear all the sufferings and all the miseries. So Uddhava asks Krishna that please let me hear the song that he sang. What is the song that helped him to bear his miseries? Because I also have miseries and everybody has miseries. And simply if we hear this song when we are in misery, we can also chant this song and maybe we will also be able to bear our miseries. Because in this world, nobody is free of misery. This is known as Dukh Alayam or Shashvatam. This is a place of misery where everything is temporary. It's also known in the Bhagavad Gita as Anityam asukham lokam. This is a place where nothing is permanent and there is no happiness in this world. This is asukham lokam. So Krishna tells him the song that the Avanti Brahmana used to sing, because he was being persecuted and tortured by so many people. And you know what he used to sing? He used to say, Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur. He says, these people who are persecuting me, they are not responsible for my distress. Very often we think that the cause of our problems is just this one rascal. If something is done to this one rascal, then everything will work out fine for me. That person may be anybody. It may be your father. In Kali Yuga, it may be your father, it may be your brother, it may be your business partner, it may be your boss, it may be anybody, maybe your employee, maybe your employer. But there is always somebody we find to blame for our miseries. We say, this is the person who is responsible for my miseries. Everything in my life is going smoothly and wonderfully, but this one person is the cause of my miseries. If something is done to him, everything in my life will run smoothly. But he says very clearly, he says, Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur. No, he says, these people are not responsible for the miseries that I am suffering. He says, Na devata atma griha karma kal. No devata. Sometimes we feel that if we do not propitiate the demigods, then they will cause suffering and misery for us. I remember one gentleman who came and told me, he says, you say that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but I have been worshipping Ganesh. Every year I bring him to my home. Now this year, I know that if I don't bring Ganesh to my home, what will happen? He will bring misery on me, because he will not be satisfied. He will inflict all kinds of misery on me if I don't bring him this year. So I am forced to bring him. So what happens? You often blame the demigods that, oh, because I have not done this for this devata, or I have not done this for that devata, those devatas will trouble me and harass me and bother me. I remember my friend, he used to feel that if on Saturday he did not go to Hanuman Mandir, then he was in bad trouble. Why? Because he would be put in a difficult situation. So people always believe that some demigod or the other is going to bother him. So he said, no devata, not the demigods, not these people are harassing me, these people are not harassing me, neither are the demigods harassing me. No devata, atma. Sometimes we feel the body. Atma also means body, it also means mind, it also means soul. Here it means body. So sometimes we feel our body is causing us distress. Today I met one patient who was telling me, he says, doctor, everything in life is wonderful for me. Only this body of mine is causing so much pain and distress and misery. So all my sufferings are due to these bodily conditions. I agree with you that once we free ourselves from this body, then only we can be happy. Because the body causes miseries and unhappiness. But this Avanti Brahmana says that no, he says, Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur. No, devata atma, not this body also is the cause of your miseries. Sometimes we feel that if I had a better body, a healthier body, a fitter body, how do you body? He says, no, it's not your body that's causing you distress. He says, neither griha. Sometimes we feel stars are responsible. Now, devata atma griha. My friend came and told me, he says, now I am in trouble. I said, what happened? He says, abhi mera साढ़े साथी shuru hone wala hai. I said, what is this साढ़े साथी? He says, 7.5 years of Saturn. And these 7.5 years of Saturn mean that Saturn is going to harass you and harass you and harass you and harass you. So now my Sade Sati is beginning. This is the time and period when I am really going to go through a difficult time. So as I pointed out, my friend, he feels that if he doesn't go to Hanuman Mandir on Saturday, then there is nobody to protect him from Shani. So Shani will come and will give him a lot of distress and a lot of unhappiness. Sometimes people feel that they are going through, I have friends who are also very interested in astrology. In fact, myself, I have taken great interest in astrology. So people feel that because I am going through the Mahadasha of the worst period, worst planet in my horoscope, I am going through great difficulty. Now I have to suffer for 10 years. And after this 10-year Mahadasha is over, only then I will have a comfortable time in life. But this Brahmin says very clearly, he says, Nayam jano me sukha dukha hetur na devata atma griha. Not even the stars are responsible.